As video games' big step into other media usually tends to be in movies, many overlook the TV show adaptations, probably because they're not as exciting as a big motion picture. You've got live action shows like the critically acclaimed HBO Last of Us series and the critically panned Netflix Resident Evil, but most video game to TV adaptations are usually that of animated ones, due to the cost and being easier to make fantastical worlds in the medium, though I'd also guess it's to appeal to kids and sell merchandise. In 1989, DiC Entertainment bought the rights to create their own animated series based off the Super Mario Bros. Games. This not being the first video game show, as there was a Pac-Man cartoon created by Hanna-Barbera before it. Neither is it the first animated appearance of Mario. That would go to Saturday's Supercade, a show about some of the early 80s most iconic arcade games, with Mario being represented in his Donkey Kong arcade look. Prior to that, in his home country of Japan, him and the rest of his cast debuted in the obscure 1986 anime movie Super Mario Bros. The Great Mission to Rescue Princess Peach, and other small adventures like adverts and a traffic safety video. But in the West, DiC wanted to curb the market of video game cartoons by pitching to Nintendo a bunch of potential shows. Adaptations of Metroid, Castlevania, Double Dragon, and California Games. Looking at these concept drawings, you can tell that maybe DiC didn't do their research. I mean, for one thing, they made Samus a guy, they obviously did not play the game. Nintendo would then make the deal to create a Mario cartoon, a decision made as to create more awareness of the characters and their franchises. They were quite experimental in these early years of being a games company, licensing out their properties for edutainment games, the partnership with Philips and their CDI console, and eventually their own movie. For the cartoon, Nintendo had very little involvement with it, only providing DiC a Bible containing character references. DiC themselves have proven to be at least capable in producing their own shows, even getting their hands on another gaming property later with Sonic the Hedgehog and creating shows based around him. On top of that, DiC has produced many cartoons before and after Mario, like The Real Ghostbusters, Captain Planet, New Kids on the Block, Hammerman, Wild West COW Boys of Moo Mesa, Street Sharks, The Wacky World of Tex Avery, Sherlock Holmes in the 22nd Century, Dino Squad, Inspector Gadget, Gadget Boy, Inspector Gadget's Field Trip, Gadget and the Gadgetinis, and Super Duper Sumos. Great choice for a Mario cartoon. Okay, so I remember certain kids back in the day having DVDs of this show. I think everyone just had it, even though it was very clearly like this very 80s sort of show. But one in particular I remember had on the back of it Yoshi in it, and I think I must have borrowed it because I remember going through all the episodes wanting to see Yoshi in the show and he never appeared. That was just an error on their behalf, and I was very disappointed. Anyways, the Super Mario Bros. Super Show. It wasn't just a cartoon. Split into segments, the half-hour program would begin and end with the live-action shenanigans of Mario and Luigi, acting out more like a sitcom with their one-room set and laugh track playing after every joke. While the cartoon was more based around the video games, using a lot of imagery and sets as well as music and sound effects found in those games, just for that authenticity. For the roles of the brothers, wrestler Captain Lou Albano plays Mario, with Luigi being played by Danny Wells. They also voiced the duo in the cartoon segments, but for live action they actually dressed up to play the part. Albano even had to shave off his iconic beard just to look more like Mario. These parts of the show revolved around the duo running a plumbing company in Brooklyn, having plots connected to the cartoon as well as being visited by guest stars. These included Magic Johnson, Elvira, Santa, Cher but played by an actress, and even Inspector Gadget. The cartoons themselves would follow Mario, Luigi, Peach, Princess Toadstool and Toad going through an adventure in the Mushroom Kingdom. King Koopa is also there, and DiC apparently weren't allowed to call him Bowser due to legal issues. I guess they also didn't use the character Bible that was provided because he looks nothing like he does and just looks so disgusting. At the time it was made, there were only 2 Mario games to base source material off. I know the Mario franchise back then and even now is enrich in character development and explaining how their world functions, so the show had to work around that and get creative in its settings. Mostly relied on parodies of film or whatever genre they could base an episode off of. Western World, Mark Twain World,
Howdy boys, I'm Mark Twain.
Star Wars, Kaiju World. In each world, Bowser / King Koopa isn't kidnapping Peach / Princess Toadstool, but instead kinda just doing whatever evil thing the story insists. You know how people don't like the licensed music in the Mario movie and how it's just put in there for general audiences? Well, the Super Show was doing the same thing back in the 80s, each episode having a cover song playing around the climax. These songs include Surfin' Bird, Power of Love, Danger Zone, Thriller, Weird Science, Kung Fu Fighting. Most of these songs are recognizable today, so it's not too dated in most episodes, just a weird inclusion, especially for a Mario cartoon. The two most iconic songs from the show aren't even licensed. The opening theme song with Mario's face introduced to the show, playing the iconic chords from World 1 Level 1, and then Albano and Wells walk in on a green screen, dancing away as the intro plays and pumps you up for the next half hour. My favourite part being when the two of them are just running along, and at the very end you can see Danny Wells slowing down when he's just nearly out of shot. Then there's also the ending song during the credits, Do the Mario, and it does give off the vibe of being thrown together last minute, but in the best way. Lou Albano singing to the Mario theme as he dances whilst dotting around in the background. I especially like the ending where he poses a little early so does another step when the song ends. Much like the opening, it's cheese but memorable, though I'm more used to the German version.
So geht's! Das ist der Mario!
They may have had the money to pay for music in every episode, but the budget in the actual animation was more on the cheap side. Getting an overseas studio and working on multiple episodes at once, the cartoon was churned as fast as possible, leading to some ugly visuals and animation errors everywhere. It can look rough, but at least it's funny.
Good thing we used the extra pipe for this Koopa catcher, huh, Mario?
One of the most infamous examples being from the episode Raiders of the Mushroom Kingdom, and the character Indiana Joe, a caricature of Indiana Jones but without a face. It's been speculated as to why he doesn't have one, especially how no one ever points it out. It's mostly believed because of the low budget not allowing to animate a face for him. Though doing research, i.e. going onto the Mario Wiki, in a 2018 interview, Perry Martin, the writer of the episode, described in the script Indiana Joe being a dashing caricature of Harrison Ford. Though the model sheets drew him without any resemblance to Ford and instead more of a likeness to Slender Man. Martin assumes that DiC didn't want any lawsuits, so the character remained faceless, but I feel like maybe with the storyboard artist, they left it to the last minute to give him a face until it was sent off overseas and animated without anything drawn, leading to the result of a faceless adventurer. Thanks to @MarioBrothBlog on Twitter, we see that in one screenshot from the episode shows that an eye can be seen under Joe's hat for a single scene. Maybe he does have little beady eyes hidden under that hat, or realistically it's just an animation error, which is most likely to be true and keeps on brand for the cartoon.
What's that about mashed potatoes?
The Super Mario Bros. Super Show aired for one season with a total of 65 episodes. Beginning from September 4th to November 10th, 1989, airing every weekday, this schedule was what DiC did with all their cartoons. Air them nearly daily for a few months, then move on to the next production. The Monday to Thursday episodes would air the normal cartoon and live action combo. But on Friday, the live action segments were replaced with an episode of The Legend of Zelda. Link and Zelda must protect their half of the Triforce from Ganon, who wants it to connect with his piece and become more powerful. Yes, there were only two pieces of the Triforce in this cartoon. Being a bit different to the Mario cartoon, it's a fantasy adventure show that's less cartoony. Zelda explains how the world and rules work in Hyrule, exclusively in the opening, which ends with something you're going to be hearing a lot from this show.
Nice job, hero!
Hey! Excuse me, princess!
Yeah, not only does Link talk, but he has a catchphrase. In fact, the whole cartoon is more like a sitcom with Link and Zelda bickering and passing one-liners to each other, with that will they, won't they relationship. Link constantly wanting to get a kiss for the smallest heroic thing he does, with Zelda rightly declining him every time. There wasn't as many episodes of the cartoon as there was of Mario, and after its cancellation, never got a continuation or spin-off. Apparently it's because the Zelda cartoon was only ever made to accompany the Super Show and was more of a bonus that viewers could see on Fridays. With how the show handled its source material, I'd say it's a good thing we never saw more of DiC's version. Just like Mario, there were only two games to base the cartoon off from. As not good as it is, the Mario cartoon does feel like the stronger program out of the two. Though it wasn't the last time we saw Link and Zelda, as they appeared in several episodes of Captain N, the Game Master, being voiced by the same voice actors and sporting better designs. Airing around the same time as the Super Show, Captain N, the Game Master was a glorified Nintendo advert about a kid who falls into a video game world. The show would feature iconic characters looking nothing like their original designs, some of them being from properties like Castlevania and Metroid, which DiC pitched as separate shows, but I guess they were reworked into this cartoon. A show with a lot of potential, but a wasted execution. Also, looking through the Wikipedia listing for the episodes, they all have licensed music as well. I have no idea why these video game cartoons have non-video game music in them, but DiC probably wanted to attract a young hip crowd, I don't know. When it came to reruns and physical media releases of the Super Show, the licensed music was replaced with instrumental music, making some scenes feel out of place, even more so. Though the song Jungle Love from episode 11, Jungle Fever, stayed, probably was an oversight. In the early 90s, reruns began for the show, however the live action skits were cut and replaced with a new, cooler segment, Club Mario. Starring Tommy Treehugger and Co-MC, I don't know which one's which, who hijacked the Super Show doing all sorts of rad things. It was clearly aimed to the young audience of the time, but it was proven unpopular, so much so that they would ditch it and future reruns would bring back the original Mario and Luigi portions. Though over the years finding actual clips of Club Mario is hard and most of it is lost, and is not the only lost Mario TV show either. King Koopa's Cool Cartoons, having no relation to the Super Show or anything else Mario, was a 30-minute variety show developed by DiC and hosted by King Koopa himself, now portrayed by an actor in a creepy outfit. The show would play public domain cartoons from the 20s and 30s, read fan mail, tell jokes, and have other characters interact with King Koopa, all in front of an audience of kids wearing Koopa hats and chanting along. Aired between September 11th to November 30th, 1989, the show was only broadcasted in Southern California, though there was reports of airings in the UK and newspapers having air dates in Arizona. It's believed the limited scope of broadcast was because the program was more of a test to see if the variety show formula would work with King Koopa. It would make sense since the activities done were nothing ever too out there and the cartoons shown were in the public domain. It seems that DiC was wanting to make a variety hour show but needed to test the waters first. If successful, King Koopa's Cool Cartoons could have been one of those Saturday morning shows where they play games, show cartoons and give up prizes, a kind of programming lost in modern times. Though King Koopa never caught on, it wasn't popular with kids and got a bad reception, especially from parents. It's believed that the cancellation came about after a particular letter King Koopa reads out from a viewer, giving a negative review. Koopa responds to the kid on saying, "Okay kid, you can say whatever you want about me, but remember, I know where you live." Okay, so apparently the clip was found a few years back in 2023, uploaded by YouTube channel Beta James Lost Media. The story that it was a kid calling in was false, and in actuality it was a skit with a fictional character called Arthur calling in and spewing through the phone. There's also a few other clips found, but the show still remains lost. It's not confirmed if that was the reason, but to this day, King Koopa's Cool Cartoons has gained a following of people wanting to find more episodes as it's currently lost media, with few episodes found. Most clips are of low quality and poor audio, and it's unlikely DiC will ever release the full series.
Bud, march to your post office and get your order in!
A year later in 1990 was The Adventures of Super Mario Bros. 3, what a title. Mario 3 the game was a big deal upon its release, even having an entire film made to announce it. So the Mario cartoon was reinvented to be solely based off the game, not integrated into the already existing show but made into its own series. This meant the appearance of power-ups like the feather, frog costume and boot, the setting, the visuals and sound effects based off the game, as well as the inclusion of the Koopalings, though for some reason were all renamed. To change up the formula, they do implement the real world into the cartoon. No longer live action, but just as ugly as the rest of the show. With the exclusion of the live action segments, most of the cast was also gone, only Toad and King Koopa's voice actors from the Super Show remained. Besides that, it's basically the same show, only with the addition of 7 smaller Bowsers acting as new villains. Running for 26 episodes, it wasn't anything all that special, except for one episode that included 2 special guests. The German R&B duo Milli Vanilli make a guest appearance in episode 8B, Cutie Pie Rocks, where the singers are abducted by King Koopa whilst performing a concert in front of poorly animated fans. This show could barely animate one character on screen, so a large crowd gives us layering issues and slow rocking back and forward. The duo is kidnapped and made to perform for Cutie Pie, as well as being turned into accountants.
Accountants? That is a good one. Ha ha ha.
No!
We're nuts.
We're dweebs!
This is terrible.
They are played by the actual Milli Vanilli and even play a couple of their songs. But just like the previous show, future airings and physical releases had these tracks removed and replaced with generic background music. So during the concert where they're clearly singing, only an instrumental backing track plays. They even exclude the dialogue where King Koopa even references the song.
Blame it on King Koopa.
Then in 1991, with a pitiful 13 episodes, was Super Mario World. Much like before, it's set in a new location based around the titular game, power-up, sounds, you get the picture. But this time there's now a new big change. A new animation studio was animating the show. Oh, and Toad is cut out and replaced with Yoshi. I guess they didn't want 5 main characters, so Toad is out and in is the less annoying Yoshi, who with his grating voice and speaking in the third person doesn't really contribute much to the show apart from being used as transportation, not even getting ditched down a pit for an extra jump. Though the new location of Dinosaur Island does give the show a more realised setting, instead of jumping around to whatever new world, the setup is usually King Koopa coming in to wreak havoc in the village of simple-minded Neanderthals. The cave people don't add much to the show, but this one cave boy, Oogtar, does have a larger presence despite being the worst character. Whether it's the Mario Brothers showing the cavemen new technology,
Look what I made! It's a stone, Luigi. You didn't make it.
or Koopa corrupting them with fast food or TV, it does feel like the most fleshed out show out of the trilogy. Maybe because it's the shortest running cartoon, it manages to get more out of it. That might be because I watched these episodes on YouTube constantly, back when the site had a less strict policy on copyright. It's the only Mario cartoon to not include licensed music. Instead, each episode has their own original song, sung by the Koopalings, so you can imagine how those sound.
You know that everywhere I go, I'm looking for you.
I can only assume they were deliberately written horribly and performed just as bad, maybe to spite someone who didn't want to fork out the fees for real music, or maybe they wanted to make a Koopalings album, who knows. Though just like Mario 3 and its Milli Vanilli episode, Super Mario World has its own famous episode. Episode 13, the last one in the series, Mama Luigi. It's a basic tale of Luigi retelling the story of how he found Yoshi. I don't know why this episode became the most well known, I believe it's got to do with how quotable it is.
Mama? Mama Luigi?
But it's likely got to be because of the popularity of YouTube poops. The sort of forgotten art form of remixing episodes, films, or game cutscenes, it was the early years of YouTube's comedy, and creators showed off their editing skills in comedy. Recognizable ones including SpongeBob, Sonic, that Volvic advert, that Dentist Rabbit, and even Nintendo's own Philips games with their iconically bad cutscenes. Super Mario World became a subject of YouTube poops, and Mama Luigi saw the most attention. I even remember Mama Luigi becoming one of those early memes with people quoting the episode or bring up that one weird squeak Luigi makes.
That's Mama Luigi to you, Mario!
While YouTube poops still exist, they're not as prevalent as they once were, but in 2017 the legacy returned when 227 animators came together to reanimate the entire episode. There are plenty of reanimated projects out there showcasing the talents of many artists, putting their spin on certain scenes to create something, and the Mama Luigi one is by far my favourite. It might just be nostalgia reasons or how it reminds me of the classic era of YouTube poops. What's sweet is how the reanimated episode is dedicated to Tony Rosato and Harvey Atkin, the voices of Luigi and King Koopa respectively. They both sadly passed away in 2017, with this project paying tribute to their contribution to such a memorable cartoon that was part of many people's childhood.
Night, Mama Luigi.
After the Mario cartoons, DiC moved on to making a trilogy of Sonic shows. As for Nintendo pursuing other animated ventures, there was the motion-captured French Donkey Kong Country series, not made by DiC. But other than that, the only other shows Nintendo approved to was the still-running Pokemon anime and the short-lived F-Zero series, both made in their home country of Japan. Probably not wanting to trust Westerners with their IPs, after the 1993 Mario movie, I don't blame them. Sonic has had many shows made about him back then and even today. Others have attempted and mostly failed to adapt video games onto the small screen, being prevalent only in the 90s. Even DiC finally got to make their Double Dragon cartoon. Nintendo were pitched an animated Zelda movie, with test footage being leaked back in 2007, proposed by Hong Kong-based Imagi Animation, the studio that made both the TMNT and Astro Boy films, though the pitch fell through. There is also rumors, talks of a Captain N movie, which who knows if that will ever happen. Nintendo have been more open to lending their properties to other studios in current years. Ubisoft creating Mario plus Rabbids along with its sequel, the indie game Crypt of the Necrodancer getting a Switch exclusive sequel, crossing over with Zelda in Cadence of Hyrule, additional other partnerships with Mario content in Rocket League, and Breath of the Wild gear in Skyrim. The movies seem to be Nintendo's next big venture. 2019 saw the Detective Pikachu movie, and in 2023 the Super Mario Bros. Movie was released, a joint venture with Illumination, released 30 years after the original Mario movie. For a film with so many references and Easter eggs to the games, there aren't any from the 1993 film, however there are homages to the Super Mario Bros. Super Show snuck in. The Nintendo-approved extended Mario family are all based off family members who appeared in the live-action segments, as well as the plumbing adverts seen in both the film as well as its own separate ad. Using the iconic Mario rap opening, I was amazed to hear it, and the idea Nintendo was okay in referencing the cartoon like this. It's a callback that makes sense, especially the cheesy low-budget production vibe the advert has. A nice little cameo included in the ad as well is the woman who is voiced by Jeannie Elias, the voice of Princess Toadstool from the Super Show.
Thank you, Super Mario Bros. It seems like the only thing you haven't drained is my bank account.
The Mario cartoons were not anything amazing. They live on through its legacy of weirdness and out of context moments you'll find around on YouTube. With the Mario movie making big box office money and Nintendo interested in continuing expanding their franchises, maybe we'll see another Mario show at some point. It might not be as charmingly dumb as those original 80s cartoons, but those shows will always play a part in Mario's legacy.